All right, so we are now moving to our next presentation regarding Rangeland Fire Protection Associations, and we have Martin Vetter who will be presenting on this. And Martin, we're going to try to give you the maximum amount of time here, but if you could allow for a couple of minutes before the top of the hour so that we could take some questions, that would be great. And we'll probably minimize some of the wrap up that we do or that we have done for morning sessions and just go ahead and adjourn, and then we'll move into the afternoon later. So turning it over to you, Martin.
All right, thank you. Good morning, everybody. And so what is the Rangeland Fire Protection Association? Who are they? So next slide, please. Next slide. There we go. So the rangelands, or the RFPAs, which I'll probably refer to them as, they're basically a nonprofit. They're a 501c3 made up basically of ranchers, farmers, small business owners, rural landowners, retirees, lawyers, accountants, basically all walks of life. But most of all, they are all volunteers. Next. Next slide. There we go. Oh, there we go. So in Oregon, the RFPAs are allowed to form through the Board of Forestry, and so the landowners put forth the letter to the Board of Forestry to hold a public hearing, and then they're once that's approved by the board, then they sign an agreement with the state forester, and that agreement allows them certain avenues. For property, which is the FFP, or Federal Fire Program, or the FEPP, which is the Federal Excess Personal Property Program. And this allows them to get vehicles, but it also allows them to get grants. And so a lot of these RPAs are kind of funded, a lot of it on grant money as well. So you can see the state forester, once they're approved, they've signed an agreement with the state forester. And next slide, please. Next slide, there we go. So after the RFPA signed the MOU and operating plans, well, also with the Department of Interior, so the BLM and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And this allows all three of the agencies to conduct fire suppression on each other's land, and which has been a huge plus. Since most of the ground is actually BLM or U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Some of them have actually taken the next step and signed into a cooperative fire agreement with the Department of Interior. And these things have been going on for a while. Many RPAs now have MOUs or memorandum of understandings with some of the rural fire districts that may be in the area as well. Next. Next, here we go. So currently, there are 24 RFPAs in the state of Oregon, kind of highlighted in yellow there, with the oldest one being Ironside, which was founded in 1964, and the newest one that's up in Wasco County, which was formed in 2019. The main thing with these is currently there are over 1,000 volunteers in the RFPA system. And over 700 of these folks have been trained. And some of these folks have come and gone and moved into different areas or different states. But the training has been an ongoing piece to this whole program, is in conjunction with the BLM and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Next.
Just so you know, Marvin, I think you're getting a little delay on the slides. We are switching them, but they seem to take a few minutes to pop up on your end.
Yeah, I'm having a poor connection, I think. So for the state of Oregon, the RFPA program basically consists of two people for the state. Myself as the Rangeland Fire Protection Coordinator, and I kind of take care of a lot of the training, property allocation, coordination, and communications. And then we have a rangeland administrative specialist that takes care of reimbursements, grants, and community wildfire protection plans. And so we're kind of unique in Oregon that we do reimburse the RFPAs for their liability insurance, which helps them operate and continue to grow. And with that, in I think it was 2016, 17, the Department of Interior also has a statewide coordinator that works with me. And they also have a RFPA liaison in Harney County, which was founded by the Harney County Wildfire Collaborative, which you'll hear from later today. Next. So part of that agreement with the state forester, we talked about the FFP and FEPP stuff, is we help assist them in acquiring some used military equipment, and they turn this firefighter equipment into fire trucks. Next. All right. As you can see here, they've taken the Humvees and converted them into fire trucks. What's really nice is these off-road vehicles can go in a lot of different areas and some very treacherous ground to get into some real tough places to take care of fire. These are smaller, we call type 6 engines, carrying roughly about 150 to 200 gallons of water. And these are from 4 different associations. The upper left would be Silver Creek out of Riley, or in Harney County. The one on the right is out of Jefferson County.
I think we might have lost Marvin. Marvin, we are not able to hear your audio. Can you try again?
You're not.
Oh, now we can. You popped out for a minute.
Okay. Okay. So these are the finished products of some of the vehicles. The one on the upper left is Silver Creek out of Harney County. The one on the right, the type 6 or 200-gallon engine, is out of Jefferson County. Lower left is in Wheeler County. And the lower right is French Glen out of Harding County as well. Next. So those are the light engines. These are some of the heavier equipment they get and they convert into fire trucks. And you can see dozers, big transports and stuff, and 6-wheel drive and 4x4s. Next. So it's kind of a picture of some of the finished products from what you saw just before, but putting these trucks together can be a substantial amount of money for them. And so we usually get the vehicles for the cost of transporting here from the military bases, and then the RFPAs will either apply for what we call VFA or volunteer fire assistance grants up to about $10,000 a year, and their own dues to complete the fire apparatus you see here. Next. So in 2019, some of the equipment listed in the desert is they have actually up to now 345 engines, 101 ATVs, UTVs with water tanks, 55 water tenders, 87 dozers, 24 road graders, 48 transports with tractors, 13 tractors with this. And this is just the tip of the iceberg of some of the equipment that they have listed out in the desert that they've converted military or federal trucks into fire engines. Next. So training has really been a focus for ODF and BLM. And when I first started in 2014, we had we had about 400 volunteers and less than 100 been trained. And then the fall of 2015, we instigated a firefighting class. It took about a day and a half, 2 days, and kind of give the ranchers and the volunteers an idea of what to expect out there. And another issue we had was radio communications. There wasn't very many radios, and there's not a lot of cell service out in the Oregon desert. So we really looked at enhancing the use and the training of the radios, either handheld and mobiles, for the communication piece that it takes for fighting fire. Next. So you can see some stats there. And so back in 2014, when I first came over here, we had at least one fire that I knew of, the Buzzard Complex, that was 500,000 acres. In 2015, we had multiple fires, and we tallied over 300,000 acres burned in the desert. And then 2015, as part of the Sage Grouse Initiative for Oregon, the Oregon legislature granted the RFPAs a $1.2 million grant to spend on whatever they need to make things right. And so I kind of redid some of their annual reports starting in the 2016 season. So that's really only the good data that I have. Prior to that, it's kind of historic. But you can see in 2016, we had 116 fires that burned 87,000 acres. And the number of fires that exceeded 500 acres was 7. One thing to realize out of that is 4 of those fires, 4 of them out of the 116 made it to 82,000 acres. So their success rate was very, very high. 2017, you see an increase in number of fires. It was a very dry year, 103,000 acres burned. But one of those fires was 52,000 acres, the Center Butte fire. And that was contained in less than 24 hours. And between the BLM, the Forest Service, and 4 RFPAs that worked on that, they caught that fire fairly quickly, like I said, in less than 24 hours. In 2018, you saw the number of fires go up again, and part of that is better reporting by the RFPAs. But we also, that was another year where we had several fires, and not too many large fires. It says 17 of them that are over 500 acres, but there was only 3 of them that actually went, or one of them, actually one fire in 2018 that got over into the 5 digits, and that was Jenny's Peak that went to 50,000 acres. And then in 2019, which was a really good year for us, where we only burnt, actually the number of fires over 500 there should be 5. And where we only burned a total of 34,000 acres, and only one fire that was in the 5 digits, which was the Poker fire that burnt 23,400 out of that 34,000 acres that was also caught in less than 24 hours. So their success rate after that initial grant from the legislature dramatically improved. And part of that improvement too was the training that was started in the fall of 2015, and then the use of radios as well. Next.
Marvin, just hopping in here while this slide is transitioning. So it looks like you have about 8 slides left, and we just have about 3 minutes to the top of the hour. I know the slow slide changes are affecting you. So just thinking and asking if participants could maybe just hang on for an extra 5 minutes or so to enable you to wrap up, and then also to allow us a question or 2. Thank you.
You bet. So one of the benefits of RPA is that rapid initial attack. And so they actually spread their resources out across the different ranches, so they can actually, when the fire is called in, they can get there at a little bit quicker response than than typically where engines are housed at a fire station that may be an hour or 2 hours away. Next. So they looked at protecting habitat, grazing, and even personal property. They help protect it. They do not fight structure fires, but they'll try to stop it before it gets to a structure. Next. So they have also branched out other than just doing fire prevention or fire suppression. They're also working with fire prevention, and they actually worked with emerging managers on the solar eclipse that came through Oregon several years ago as well. Next. So they also work with prescribed fire. The slide on the left was an NRCS project out of Wheeler County, and work with the Jefferson County Soil and Water Conservation District for reseeding after they take care of conifer reduction. That's Jefferson County on the right. Next. So some of the partners are kind of isolated out in the desert, but they have learned to grow and find more partners in different ones. So working with county emergency managers, county sheriffs, NRCS, city rural fire department, soil water conservation, Harney County Collaborative, OSU Extension, state and federal legislature. Well, the list is continuing to grow as we go year after year with the number of partners they have. Next. So in the last 5 years, one of the things we've really been working on is communication, understanding, and working together. And as you can see, the slide on the right, you got some firefighters there. It's actually out of there. There's two federal firefighters in there amongst all those ranchers, if you can pick them out. And you can see in the bottom left where we have RFPA tenders filling up heavy, large BLM tender engines on a large fire as well. Next. So how do we measure success? We take care of those fires that nobody hears about. And there seems to be more and more of those. As long as we don't make the news, we know we're doing our job. Next. So we are, that's our motto, is neighbors helping neighbors, and everybody's our neighbors. And I say, well, on some of these larger fires, you may see 3, 4, even 5 RFPAs coming together to work together as one with their federal partners. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marvin. Yeah, excellent presentation. I am going to hop over to see if we have some questions. I can see it looks like we at least have one written. I'm going to turn it over to Liz to read the questions and respond.
Yes, so here's a question from Jennifer Forby, and it is, how do you deal with liability issues of volunteers in terms of injury or damage to themselves or property?
So the RPAs do, as a 501c3, they do have liability insurance that covers the board for any issues and in vehicles for any incidents that may be happening. As far as personal stuff, it being volunteers, they don't fall under workman's comp or anything. So most of them, it's personal one is going to be on the ranch insurance.
Great, thank you. That seems to be the only question we have at the moment, Susan.
Okay. Let me just, while we see if we have any other questions, let me just mention for those who are going to be joining us in the afternoon that, and again, if you do have a question for Marvin, please submit it. I'm just going to make a couple remarks while we're waiting. We have an afternoon session that begins at 2 p.m. Mountain. We will start with the Idaho Cheatgrass Challenge since they so graciously agreed to hop over to the afternoon. So we'll lead with them, followed by the Harney County Wildfire Collaborative and the Oregon Collaborative Program CCAA for sage grouse, and then Oregon SageCon. and then we'll wrap up at 4 p.m. Mountain Time. So appreciate everyone coming back for that. If you're not able to join us, just a reminder that if you're involved in the breakout groups, they occur next week, May 12th through the 14th. You should have received a message yesterday from Sam Stiber telling you about those breakout groups and confirming the one that you are involved in, whether you're an active participant or a listener. So please let us know if you have not received any notification for those yet. But we're very much looking forward to that. And then just so that you know, the recordings from today's presentations will be posted on May 7th onto our online site. And I believe that was posted in the Q&A, the link to that. So if you want to take a look. So I think we are ready to wrap up. Liz, unless there are other questions that I'm not seeing for Marvin?
No, no other questions.
Okay, well then thank you again, Marvin, thank you so much. That was a really, really terrific presentation and a lot to think about. And for those who have been joining us all morning, we had up to about 112 people, so very exciting for that. Thank you for joining us, and we will look forward to seeing you back with us at 2 p.m. Mountain. Thank you very much.